Three, with my friend Belinda.
Yay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yay, come on. Welcome, my friends. So we are perfectly going live. Yeah, this. Yes, we are live now on YouTube. Perfect, Belinda. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to Microsoft Excel Power Platform and Excel Meetup Group for Saudi Arabia. It's my pleasure to welcome you here and happy Ramadan. And we have all our friends joining from different places. Feel free to write it in the chat. So I have my friend Brenda joining all the way for us, and she has some awesome tips and tricks on Excel and Power BI. And it's my pleasure to welcome her. It's the first time she's coming on our group,
Yes,
so I'll make sure that I'll be not naughty. I'll make sure that I'll properly listen to all what Belinda is giving the tips and tricks so that we can use it in our daily day to day. Belinda, quickly just introduce yourself and you can go ahead with the presentation. It's all over to
sure,
you.
sure. So, hi, everybody. I'm Belinda Allen. I'm from the United States, although I live on the east side in South Carolina. I happen to be coming to you today from a hotel room in New Mexico. I'm between the MVP Summit, where I was at all week last week at Microsoft at the mothership. And next week, I'll be attending in Las Vegas the first Microsoft Community Conference. And I'll actually be presenting with my teammate and fellow MVP, Stephanie Bruno. Some of you may know her as one of the data witches, but I've been an MVP for 12 years. And it's just coincidence, but I happen to be a Microsoft certified trainer for 12 years as well. I started out working with ERP data, and I was always really big into reporting. So it is I remember going back to when Windows was really new. Windows was really new, just a couple years old, and the product that I work with is now Dynamics GP, and they showed us ODBC, and I was so excited. I'm like, look at the ways we could use Excel to do things. Actually, it took me a while to get to Excel. I was a Lotus 123 lover, and then I just couldn't get myself to switch. But one day I had to, in Lotus, parse some data, which we call text to column. And I was struggling. It was a little bit of a difficult thing in Lotus. It wasn't difficult, but it was just not intuitive to me. And then I went into Excel. I said, I'm going to give it a shot. And because my partner was always saying, try Excel, try Excel, try Excel. And I went in and I parsed it just like that. And I became an avid Excel user ever since. But I embraced Excel reports so much that when Power BI first came out, and it was basically a place in SharePoint that it utilized a lot of things in Excel. And so I became heavy at Excel. But a little bit before that, in Microsoft had this big conference for their Dynamics products called Convergence. And at Convergence, um, I had wild hair one year, and I said, "What if?" And I was talking to a friend or one of my best friends in the community, and he was an MVP at the time. And I said, "What if we had a contest, like a shootout?" And we could like try to wow people with our Excel skills. And he goes, I love it. So we started something called the Excel Shootout. And it was like popular right off the bat. And we did it for I think we did it for about 6 years. And those 6 years, I won the first 4 years, but not the last two. But it got a little bit tiring, so we stopped. But it was I hope somebody picks it up in that community again sometime soon. And the whole point was we had these 4 rounds, and we would all come in and say, all right, here's like the first round. I'm going to show you this. And we had just like between 3 and 4 minutes to wow everybody. So the first couple of these actually came from the shootout. And then I'm going to start showing you how I use Excel with Power BI. So I got 7 things that I want to show you today. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I hope I can, let me get the sound on it. Um, remind me, do I need to mark that I want to include the sound? Oh, there it is, share sound. I got it now. Never mind. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is the Excel report that I'm going to be using. And let me see if I could get this bar to appear on my other screen. There we go. Yes, I can. Okay. So this is my whole demo thing. This is the whole thing, right? Nothing on it. It's just a demo screen, but we're going to play with this. But these are the things I'm going to show you. One of them is the speak command. And the speak command is something that I use every single day. And I use it now for every Microsoft Office product. The camera feature in Excel. I find a lot of people don't know about these two. I have a feeling the Excel people know about data types, but I'm going to show you data types anyhow, just in case. And then I'm going to show you how Power BI works with data types and give you a couple ideas of where it would work and where it might not work. And then I'm going to just connect to some Power BI data. And then I'm going to pull it in and create a pivot table. And I'm going to show you another hidden gem that when I show people, their mouth kind of drops. And then finally, I'm going to go out and just do some connection to Dataverse and then open up the floor to questions. So happy to answer any questions. I do want to say as I begin, especially in part that the Fabric conference is next week, and we're presenting our company. I work with iLink Digital. I worked for myself for a long time. I'm so excited. I joined them about 4 months ago. And it is so much fun working with a big enterprise company and working with big enterprise customers. I have a great time doing that. And another one of my teammates, the wonderful MVP Miguel Felix out of Portugal, he and well, I say he and I worked on a project. He did all the work, and then I just did a little bit of training. With Microsoft Fabric, getting the data from Microsoft Fabric and using Excel to just connect straight up to the data model and use it for pivot tabling. And that actually was a solution that made someone so happy. That's just a reminder. You don't have to use Power BI with Microsoft Fabric. You should, because it's the best business intelligence tool. And Excel is a great sister product to bring along with you on that journey, but it's not an absolute requirement. So using Excel directly is a completely viable solution, especially if you want to do some manipulations each and every time. So that was just an awesome reminder to me of how wonderful Excel is. So I'm going to go ahead, since I'm sharing my screen now, and I'm going to turn off my camera. So sorry about that. I just want to save all my bandwidth. Okay. So we're going to start with the speak command. Faraz, I'm going to ask you, have you ever used the speak command? Do you know what it is?
Yes, I have used the speak command, but
Okay.
not much. I think I have just written it a VBA code with that one.
Okay. I find like if you have, let's pretend that this little demo table that I'm going to do today, let's just pretend that this is an Excel list of products, and I came in here and I said, come in and add a sum. I'm like, okay, the sum is 28 of these. Let's say these are dollar values. Okay. And the sum is $28. All right, I get that. But my other note said there was only 27, if I'm looking maybe at some of the real things. And I'm not sure where the difference is. What I could do is highlight all of this whole column. And then I've added to my quick command, speak cells, and listen.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Now, what that could help me do is I'm looking at documents or looking at some other sheet, I could verify the numbers. That is a huge, huge deal. I see in a lot of businesses, I see someone will go grab someone and say, hey, will you call these out to me while I check my number? And this is a big deal. And I use it in Word. I use it in Outlook so I can check my emails before they go out, because I'm a fast typist and I'm not a good typist. So I frequently, and I struggle with spelling on a good day anyhow. So I frequently misspell words just because I'm not sure how to spell them, or because I have a typo. So this helps me a lot. And how you could get this command up here, let me zoom in so you could see it. So you can see this little speak command right there. And how you would get it is you click on the drop down to customize the quick access toolbar. And then you're going to go to more commands, because it's not going to start out showing you the right commands. Now, once you get into this, you want to change it from popular commands to all commands, because it is not listed. I have no idea why, as a popular command. And then, of course, now these are in alphabetical order. So you would just scroll down until you find speak. Now, they used to have one that was speak on enter and speak on exit, and that was a bit crazy. Okay, I don't want to go too far. So speak is in here. And there we go. Speak cells. So you highlight it, click on add, and you could see mine in there. And then you just simply click on OK. And that's how you get it. That's actually, now this is, oh, I'm not sure if this is new Excel or not, but new Outlook, it's not in there. And no worries. I am fighting like heck to get to get that in the new Excel. I've been on a rampage. Oh, we need this, because one of the things that I find, my niece is just dyslexic, and she's in college now. So I showed her how to add it and use it with her schoolwork, and it's really helped her a lot. And even when I get a long email or I want to read something big, I will listen to it while I'm reading it, and then I absorb it much better. So that speak command is quite the big deal. Now I want to show you the camera icon. So I added the camera icon up there. It's just called camera, exactly the same way, quick access toolbar, added in, and so forth. Now, what I'm going to do here, and I probably should have brought data in before I did that. That would have been smart. So let me just come over here. I'm going to skip out of order just a little bit, and I'm going to come up to data, and let me go ahead and get data, because I love getting data. And let me get data from, I don't know, I'm going to get it from a file. I'm going to get it from a CSV file, and why not? And then I'm going to go find a CSV file, and I'm not going to share where it is on my machine. So let me just go grab one. And boom. Okay. So I've got a CSV file coming in my spreadsheet. I just imported that. See, that was an extra demo. You got an 8th one for no extra charge. Okay. And my machine's been running a little slow. It tries to open up in query editor. I can transform or load. I'm going to go ahead, just in case there's one person in the room who doesn't know how to do this. I'm going to go ahead and click on load and open up Explorer, or query editor rather. It used to be called, when it first came out, it was called Data Explorer. And I remember seeing it. It was at the very first MVP summit that I went to, and my mouth dropped open when I saw them doing some of the things. So being a Power BI person, needless to say, I'm in here all the time. So here is my query editor, and I'm going to go ahead. One of the weird things, I don't know why they don't create symmetry between Power BI and Excel, because new source in Power BI is right over here on the left, but that's okay. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get a file again, and I'm going to get, let me just get another Excel file. So now I have this Excel file calling another Excel file. Probably not the best scenario, but not a bad one. So let me quickly come in. I just want to get customer or Oh, actually, you know what? We'll just use product ID as it is. That's perfectly fine. A couple good rules of thumb, though: always get rid of unnecessary columns. Always make the query something that makes sense. I call them Belinda's 3 power query rules. And the third one, verify the data types, and also name the columns to something that makes sense to end users. So product ID, another rule of thumb is we're just looking at a profile of the first 1,000 records. We're not actually looking at the data yet. So if record number 1002 has a letter in it, then we need to change this to be text, not number, but I'm going to say numbers, right? On
Yeah.
date, yeah.
I think you're only just sharing the window, so other windows are not appearing.
Oh, you're not seeing when I zoom in?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see now?
No, I think you're just sharing only the window. So you have
Oh,
to share the screen, you know?
oh, okay. Let me unshare. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Let me share again. I don't need the I thought I did share screen, but I guess I did window. Okay, there's the screen share. I don't need sound anymore, so that works out okay. All right. Now you should see query editor.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the date, we want to always make sure if you have date time, duplicate it, put the time somewhere else, and then so you have a separate date and a separate time, unless the time is not being used at the original source and it happens to be midnight, then go ahead and make it date only. And then we have our zip code. By the way, our zip codes, we want to make those text. In this particular case, I'm just looking at US zip codes. US zip codes does not have alpha characters, but some do have leading zeros. So we'll drop the zero. So I'm just going to replace, try to change the data automatically. And I have my units and I have my revenue. So nothing big and fancy. I'm going to go ahead and close and load. And once this pulls in, this is a pretty big data set. Not too big for Excel though. And you can, by the way, oh, you know what? Maybe it is too big for Excel. I don't know. Yeah, no, it looks fine. Oh, it's too big for Excel, isn't it? That's too big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is too big.
Ooh, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to right mouse click right here, and we're going to choose edit right on the spot. That's okay. And while I'm in here, this time I'll choose, oh, it's already on close and load. So, okay, bear with me. I'll just let it get the error message out. You can make your connection and do a close and load. And if you do a close and load, then what's going to end up happening is you have the option to make a table or a pivot table. Now, this is going to be too big for a pivot table, but I can make, or a table, but I can make it a pivot table. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of data. I wanted to make charts anyhow. So, wow, that's really,
Maybe we can cancel the query. We can cancel the load query in the corner.
it's gotta be pretty close. Okay. That's good enough for right now. Okay. So I'm just going to delete this sheet anyhow, because all I really want is the connection. And this should change to connection only. Well, it didn't, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and click on close and load to. I just want a pivot table. Actually, I'm going to go in and just make a pivot chart. And now I can create some pivot charts for myself. And now I got to go through the load of all the data again. I'm not sure why I have to go through it all again, but it's going much faster because I'm not, I think. Anyhow, I should have just brought up a table. That would have been probably smarter.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could do that now.
So I think in such cases, like if you have records more than 1 million, then you should load it to the data model.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
Other than,
And close and load too, instead of close and load, because you could just make the connection only if you do close and load too. And that's really what we want. We want to be able to do, I want to create the concept of a dashboard and the concept of a report. And then I'm going to show you why you would want to use the camera. I haven't lost sight on the fact that they're all loaded now. And as soon as that finishes,
There is another tip which Belinda has showed right now, how you can load more than 1 million rows of data and still you can do the analysis in Excel.
yep. And even though the demo table, I don't know why it's, okay, there we go. Here's our, oh, I got a pivot table and a pivot chart. That's okay. So we'll start here with the pivot chart. And on the, well, let me start with the table. I'm going to go and just add in product ID, and I'm going to grab my revenue. Okay. And I've got my sum of revenue, and I don't like the way that's all looking. So one of the things I like to do on the value is I'll come down here and click. I know you all know how to do pivot tables, but for that one person who does it, because I want to make this look good, I'm going to come in, and first of all, I'm just going to make this say revenue. I'm just changing it for the pivot table. I'm going to leave the sum, but I'm going to go to number formatting, and I'm going to change this to a number format, and I'll use a comma separator, but I don't want decimal places, and I'll click OK and OK. And now by doing this down here, instead of just formatting the whole column, now everything I use will be formatted that way. And by doing that as well, it remembers it. So when I refresh, it remembers that for me. So it won't write over it. And now what I'm going to simply do is, let me just highlight this. Well, that's fine. I got a little table. I'm not here to show you pivot table, but I'm going to come and just add a pie chart in. So the dreaded pie chart. I know some people working with Power BI right now are like, why are you using a pivot or a pie chart? Okay, I'm going to deliberately use two things that I would say not to use. One of them is, let me close this out, and let me close that out, and I'll zoom out in just a second. One of them is a pie chart. Use pie charts with caution. If it's possible that you could have a negative number in here, the pie chart cannot handle it. Okay, I'm just saying if it's possible. And in this case, if I'm looking at sales, maybe I'm looking at sales for the year, it is possible. Maybe I gave someone a return or issued a credit at the beginning of the year, and then they haven't bought anything since. So it has no way of putting that in. So that is of utmost concern of mine. And then the other thing is, if you have too many elements, the pie chart becomes unreadable. And in this case, it's definitely unreadable. And so that's reason number one that well, I guess that's two reasons, but that's number one. And never use a 3D pie chart or a 3D visual for anything. You could totally skew what you intend for it to look like. And that's actually a very bad thing. So the more you tilt it, the more things will look wrong. So never use 3D. But now let's say I have this, let's pretend this is just a chart. Actually, let me go in and zoom in, and let me just make put in a filter here so it's nice and small. Come on. And I'm going to go to pivot table, analyze, and get my field list back. And on products, I probably could do it right up here. That'd probably be easier. I'm not going to select everything. I'm just going to grab a handful. Actually, let me go to the value and say is less than or equal to 150. That'll make it much smaller. Okay, so now, all right, here's my report. Now, let's say I want to give this to other people in the company so that they can see this report. First of all, I might want to take off the grid lines in the background just so it looks a little better. So I'm going to go up to view and get rid of the grid lines in the background. I'm like, okay, that looks really good. Let me come in here and let me do an insert row above. I'm going to just do another one. And I'm going to also insert a blank column. Okay, so everything moved over a little bit. So we're just going to pretend this is a really pretty pivot table. Now, if I give this to someone to use, it's highly possible that they will accidentally move something or just completely destroy it. And maybe I just want this to be something that is interactive. So what do? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put in here that this is the chart. And then I'm going to say to users, use this tab. I might even want to hide the chart. Now I'm going to use that camera icon. So I'm going to come in, first of all, just so I can kind of get this right. Let's see, 33 NL. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the camera. And I'm going to just come in here and drag where I want this to be. Okay. So I now have, oh, there we go. Let me do it again. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I have this big camera space right here. And that may not look exactly the way I want it to, but we'll figure that out as we get in. Okay. So I have this blank space in here. And you notice that I have this picture. So what I'm going to do is come over to the chart and I'm going to grab this range and I'm going to get and acknowledge the range. That's good. So I have selected this whole range. Actually, let me just come over here and do it this way. Back over that. And then now I'm going to come and click on the chart and then grab the range again. Okay. And then I'll press enter. And now on this screen, I have that particular chart. And this is a chart now that people can consume or use on another report. It is a picture basically, but they can't move it around and they can't alter it. So there is definitely a use case for this particular scenario. Absolutely. So it's a little quirky one that you might want to use, but it's definitely a usable something, definitely a use case here. Okay. That's kind of a weird one. One that, not a lot of people tend to actually see or use before, even think about using, but it's kind of an interesting one nonetheless. All right. And notice, yeah, now my data isn't anywhere in my report. I just have those tabs. Okay. And cool. Okay, so the next one is something that came out quite a few years ago that a lot of people don't use. And so I'm going to show you data type. So I could show you this one right here. So one of the things we have is geography and data type. So right now I'm in New Mexico. So if I have New Mexico listed right here, I'm going to select this field. And if I go up to data, there is this area right up here called data types. And by default, you will have organization, stocks, currency, and geography. These are the most common ones. However, you can also add some using Power BI from your organization. But let's start with geography. So I'm going to just click on geography. And because I had New Mexico selected right here, I now have this pane of with a data slicer. So I could see what New Mexico am I looking for? Is it because there's more than one instance in geography? There's a New Mexico in the state of Maryland, in the state of Mississippi, and so forth. I originally from Georgia. There's Georgia, the state in the US, and Georgia, the country in Russia. So I'm going to go ahead and just select, this is New Mexico, the state that I'm interested in. So I'll click on it and choose select. All right, now I have this little pop-up window. And you can see I have the geography map listed there. So with my New Mexico listed right here, let's say I want to know the population. I'm going to click on this, and I think this comes from Wikipedia. So I want to know the population. So I'll find population and select it. And there's the population of New Mexico. Now I'm actually in if this is a table, by the way, let me put this in the table. Let me put in state. Whoop, that's not state. Told you I misspell things. And I'll put in population. Okay. And let's make this a table. One of the functions I used in most, format as a table. And here we go. We got ourselves a table. Okay, so I'm going to now come and just tab to the next line. And notice now, because this is a table, there's actually a function here, d4.population. So now if I come in here and I enter New York, the population, oh, let me tab. Oh, again, I have that data selection issue. Let me try something that doesn't have the data selection issue. California. Oh, I did a bad thing picking this. Let me come in and select the state again. Oh, right here. Click on population.
It's not get detected as a data type.
Yeah.
The
So
California is not as a data type.
yeah, I should have put it in a table before I got started. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can see that's pretty cool. You can do some of that. Now I'm going to delete this column. And you could do the same with stock, for example. So if I put in MFST, that's for Microsoft, I could come up to data and I could do stock as well. Now, these are just kind of cool. They do nifty things. So now it's going to prompt me to make sure. Let me try this, Microsoft. You notice I'm looking for stocks. There we go. Microsoft Corporation and select. Now, some of these, even if you put in, oh, I did have it right. Even if you put in MSFT, it will come back with a different name. And again, I can come back and put in like the last close rate or whatever the value is. Let me put in the week high. Okay, so that's really cool. But let's talk about how we did this. Do this with Power BI. So one of the things I have here, let me pull up a Power BI report. I am in the cloud right now, and I have this, not necessarily a fancy report, but I could see it's a report for demo data types. So this is it's just sample data out of Business Central, another Dynamics product. I only have 4 customers, and these customers, I see the customer, the balance due, their credit limit, and how much balance they have. So the first customer is customer ID 2000. And so that's kind of where I pinged where I want to go. And you can see that's Trey Research, and it's $3,036. So I'm going to come in and just enter in the customer number. Actually, this time, let me do it right. So I'll call this customer number, and then we'll leave it like that. And put this in the table. All right. So the customer number here is 2000. And I probably should have put that on the other side. Now I'm going to come to data. And I'm going to choose my customer organizational list right here. And oops, I had that put in the wrong spot. So that one is the customer name, but that did pull up Trey Research. And I probably should have put it in right here. Let me do that. I don't do this that often, but oh, that's okay. And then let me add another table, or come in here and get their balance due, 36,000 or $3,036. And I could come in and do the same thing. All right, let's try this. Oh, okay. I'm thinking once again, I did it on the wrong line. So let me clear all these contents. Let me put in 2000 or 20,000, go to data type, choose customers. Oh, no, that did it same way. Okay. That's all right though. But you can see how you connect to it. Now, what this is good for would be, what this is actually good for would be looking at like master records. You wouldn't want to use this to look up information. But if I wanted to look up the credit limit for any one of these people, I could come in and look up the credit limit and I could see the credit limit. So this is pretty cool, I think, being able to use it with real live data. The connection is directly to Power BI. So let's see, that was ReCloud. And I'm missing Alpine. So let me come in here and add in, let me come up to the top and add in balance due. I should have not even put these in, but notice how it automatically populated the balance due for everybody. I didn't have to do anything to create this table. So I'll come in one more time. And that time it did pick it up for me. Yay. Okay. So I have the numbers here. So you could easily create a little custom table if you know like a master record and so forth. So I think this is a pretty cool use case as well. I am going to show you one more very cool thing. I'm going to connect to a different data set. Don't worry, this one's small. And I'm going to connect to our products at a Dataverse. So in data, I'm going to come up and get data, get it from Power Platform. You could also get it directly from data flows that you've set up. I just wanted to mention that, but I'm going to go to Dataverse. And when I get connected to Dataverse, I have to be logged in and I have to also let them know. Oh, I had that financial market when I did the stock. It's warning me, hey, this may not be right. Okay, so this is taking me to my environments in Dataverse. I only have one environment right now. And I'm going to scroll down to find the tables that I created. But you could do this basically with any of your Dataverse data. And all the tables that I create, the actual technical name of the file has a CR12D on there. So I'm going to go in and grab products. And I'll be able to see a preview of my Dataverse data. This is pretty small. Well, I thought it was pretty small. Yeah, there we go. It's small. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and let me go to transform because there are a whole lot of columns out there. So I probably, if you go to Dataverse, it's like having a SharePoint one. You could see the date it was created and you get all these GUIDs and there's lots of other information there. So again, Belinda's 3 rules. I name this to something that makes sense to me. I'm just going to call this products. I get rid of columns I don't need. If I'm not sure if I need it, I go ahead and remove it anyhow. And when this finishes, I'll click on choose columns and I'm just going to get the columns I want to keep. And fortunately in Dataverse, the technical name of the columns also has a prefix in front of it. So it makes it really easy to find the ones that I'm interested in. And I'm going to just grab these. Okay. Now I only have 10 columns and 22 rows. Oh, here's where if I click on this, let me zoom in. If I click on the words, I could choose close and load to, and I could choose just to create the connection, just to create a pivot table, to create a chart, or to load to a table. But I'm going to load this one to a table. All right. And now, along with all my rows in my data model, I now have my product as a table here. And I'm going to create and count my products by color. I know that sounds strange, but I want to track my products by color so that maybe we want to be able to sell if someone says, oh, I'm redoing my house and my predominant color is orange, then we can get orange. So I'm going to create a pivot table for this. So I'll just summarize with a pivot table, let it go to a new sheet. And I will take my color and I'm going to, I know this sounds strange, but I'm going to drag color into my filters. And then I'm going to grab description into my rows. And let me just grab one more thing here. And then I'm going to go to the line number. If I come back, the line is just a unique field. So I'm going to come in here and bring line number in here. And I want to make sure it's counting. So I'm going to again come and click on that drop down, choose value filters. It is set to count, but I want it to also want it to be a number. So I could use the comma separator and no decimal places, and I'll click OK. Now I know I won't have, it's only counting what's there, so I know I won't have a lot. And this is all of my lines. Oh, I should have changed that title to item count. Okay. All right, so that looks a lot better. Now I didn't filter here, but we know that we could use this and pick and choose and filter any way we want. And I also want you to notice that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. The last tab is use this tab. Okay, 6 tabs. Let me get rid of that for a moment. And let's say, I'll get rid of that too. And let's say I want to create all of my other tabs by color. Now I have in here, let me close that up and shrink that up. I have in here my color filter and I have this listed or in my filter pane. Okay, what I'm going to do is something a lot of people don't realize. So I have my pivot table selected and let me click on it again so it's selected. And I'm going to go to analyze, pivot table analyze. And there's an option here. And if I click on the drop down list, then I'm going to go to options. And this option table, oh, that's not where I wanted to go. Let me try it again. Cancel. Come in here. Oh, come in here. This is the one I meant to get to. This will only show up, show report filter pages. It will only show up if you have something in the filter. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the filter. And now I can see everything that's in my filter. And the only thing in there is my color field. And I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And then watch what's happening on my screen. It has now gone through on the bottom and added a filter for all the different colors. So I have more than one now. So this one is black. And this one is blue and brown and so forth. This is a hidden feature that a lot of people never even know is there because it's hidden in the background. So these are some of the other things I feel like people in an Excel user group would probably know. So I don't have those other things listed, but these are the ones that when I still show someone, I get a dang, you know, people are in awe a bit on that. So Faraz, do we have any questions or comments?
No, so far no questions.
Okay.
And we check it on YouTube also.
Okay. Have you ever used this filter like this across the bottom?
Yeah,
I
but
do.
but I have never tried out like
Oh,
in
okay.
real life. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this hidden feature, as you rightly said, is available,
Uh-huh.
and it's very handy when you have when you wish to create multiple reports
Yes,
where you can standardize your one layout and then you bam, you can just
exactly.
make the
Keep in
multiple
mind,
documents like
there's
that.
there's no undo here. So save it before you do that because there is no undo. You don't want to be deleting a lot of tabs. But what a great way to break out reports for different people. I mean, I've seen people go through and manually enter this across and across. And this is just so much better, for sure. Okay. That's what I had.
In
Does
fact,
any, oh, go ahead.
yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask anyone if they wanted to ask any particular questions about the integration between Excel and Power BI.
I can see on the chat on YouTube there is a question asking, yeah, how you can delete those created ones. So you already answered that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
you have to.
this is how
Yeah.
you delete it. That's no fun. So you definitely want to do save a copy of your report as like a master and then save it as a new name and then send it out. Because the cool thing is, I mean, even if you go through and let's say you do a print and um, let's see, I'm going to print the entire workbook and I'm not going to actually print this, but oh, didn't there we go. Oh, there we go. Now it's coming through. So now you have a separate page for everything. So if you wanted to hand out reports or create PDFs for everyone, then you could ignore those last few pages, but um, back in the middle where we have those additional ones, um, that's a really clever way to do it. I should have made that a little bit different, but yeah. So I think that's really important. How did I get the true customer list? Oh, yeah. Thanks for that. I did not show that. Okay, let me go back. So, how did I get when I was doing the demo of the customer here? What did I do? And I even had that pulled up so I could show you. So, let me pull up this one. This is a boutique sample set. I use this a lot for demoing, and I'm in Power BI Desktop. So you have to do this in Power BI Desktop and then publish it to the cloud. All right, so here is my data model. And hang on just a second. Oh, well, that's all right. Okay, so here's my data model. And I was using somebody else's background on the back. But if I go to the modeling tab, on the modeling tab, I came in and I chose sales. Now, on this property pane, there's a lot more here than a lot of people realize. It offers a lot more value than people know. And there we go. Let me try zooming in again. With sales selected, there's a section called is this a featured table? And you would simply turn this on for yes. And then you could enter in all these fields are required. You enter in a description and you enter in a row label. So I want to actually get the customer name or whatever the product is or the text. So in this case, actually, let me go to products and make, because I think product I have as a feature table. Here we go. Turn that back on. I want to edit it. There you go. Okay. So I don't want price there. I want to get like I don't know, I'm going to get the class name. So normally be the product name, but my key column is clothing ID. So when I select the ID, you saw how it automatically turned my Excel report into the customer name. Again, that was a really small data set. So I'm just going to come back in and put in 2000 again. And there's the refresh. I should be able to just refresh. There we go. Just took a second. And then here is the name of it. So that is basically how that came out. And so then I can get the clothing name. So I had price in there before, but if we pull this one up and I go back and, well, I could just do it right here. I'm going to create another one and we'll call this one clothing or price. And now if I put in clothing ID 104, Oh, let me also put this in a table. Now, once again, now I'm ready to come up. And there's my clothing. And oh, I think I might have done it backwards. I'm not sure, but let's see. Yeah, I think I put price in first, but yes. So now I could come in. I have that selected, and I could add the ID number back in, and then I could add in. I had multiple prices. So if you have multiple items on a field, you could pick the field that you want to get, and so forth. So not so smart move on my part, but by putting in the wrong, oh, maybe I didn't put in the wrong field. Let's do 108. And again, I'll choose clothing just to get the table started. And yeah, see, here's the deal. I have multiple number or 108s. I also have 1081, some fuzzy logic. So I could pick and choose which one that I want. So I did get it in right. My issue was that I had, when I put in 108, it said, hey, it's kind of acting like a wild card. Is this only available to me since it was on my desktop, or is it available for somebody else? Anyone who has access to that workspace, where and to that report, rather, not the workspace, but to that oh, that might be the workspace that's required, would be able to do that. Yeah, it's not just you, because I'm accessing it from the cloud. After you do it in the report, you have to publish it, and then anyone who's in there should be able to do that. Yep. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of an interesting way to connect to data, especially for people who love Excel. Okay, cool. Thanks, Allison. What about anybody from the YouTube side? Any other questions there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Belinda, there's one question is there for you.
Okay.
It's mentioned the reason why your data type is not working as the rows were not in data type. You need to select the column and then detect it. My question, how to get the new Excel color scheme? Any
How
idea
to
on that?
get the new Excel what?
Color scheme. I think I think this question is maybe they are talking about this new color layout. You're talking. I think they might.
Oh, yeah. I'm just on Office 365. I think this is the new 365. Yeah.
Yes, this is the new 365.
Yeah. I think it's the new one for sure.
Yes,
Yep.
great. I
Yep.
think what he's mentioning about the data types, like why it is not detecting automatically, because you need to select the entire column and mark it as a data type. This is what he's trying to say over here. Okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
That's
I
thanks.
I think, yeah, it could be, but I think actually what's going on, especially down here, because you notice that when I created the table first, this one did it automatically. This one did not. And that's because again, I have a lot of potentials that line up. So, oh, this was in the Excel or PowerPoint report. So if I come to PowerPoint and I look up and I go to the clothing ID, that we have listed right here. I'll put in 150, 149. Okay, let me get a different price. Okay, here we go, 315. So I'm gonna get 315. And if I enter in 315 here, the reason why this one is not showing up initially is, well, that one did because there was only one match for it. And I don't even know if that one exists. Yeah. So yeah, there's only one match it works. In the case of 108, though, I put in 108, but there was also 1080, 1081, and that's why it wasn't matching up because it was a bit of a fuzzy logic scenario. Yeah.
Perfect. I hope that answers the question to the user. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So that is a little bit about how someone who is completely engrossed in Fabric and Power BI is still using and loving Excel. So thank you, Mark. Unless there's any other questions, that's pretty much what I have.
Great, great. No, we don't
Yeah.
have any more questions right now on YouTube, but I think we'll wrap up the session, but we'll stay back still on Zoom. And so I'll be just closing the session from the YouTube, but I would request Belinda to just fire up your camera. So usually end of the session, I always ask my presenter who is there to give any last words to the YouTube, and then we can just sign off from the YouTube, and then we can just stay back for some time.
I think the biggest,
Any last word, any last quotes. It could be from a movie, it could be your own, or it could be something from Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, anything that can really inspire us and motivate us.
oh, that leaves me real wide open there. I um, I think that I'm going to say what most people in the Power BI community say, and that is we want to be careful. Excel is a powerful, powerful tool, but we want to be careful and not try to make it a database, right? We need to use it for reporting. We need to use it for analyzing. We need to use it for exploring our data and figuring things out. There's other use cases for it. I would suggest that um, one of the problems I find when people try to use Excel as a database is that it's difficult to lock down another record, and it's way too easy to make changes to it. So I'm now a lover of Dataverse. It does have a little bit of a slow connection, but Microsoft is investing very wisely in that. So, um, but I would say let's be careful not to make it a database, but there's that line between that and using it as our data analysis, our data research, and some of the other things. Actually, there is one more thing I should show that's pretty darn cool. If I come in here, I'm going to go into transform data. This is really cool, I think. And when I do this, as soon as it comes up, I'm going to get, oh, you're not seeing it on my, did my sharing? No.
No, no,
Yeah.
it's
All right, so let me share this real fast because this is worthwhile seeing and I should have shown this. Okay, so I'm in Power BI. I'm going to come to this clothing ID, right mouse click on it.
yes,
Oh, I didn't click share yet. Okay, there we
yes.
go. Power Query, Power BI, Power Query. I'm going to take this clothing one and right mouse click and just copy this whole visual. Now I'm going to go into Excel again. I'm going to go ahead and open up Power Query. Easy way to do it. Just come over here, find one of these and edit. There we go. And now this will give me Power Query for Excel. And I've copied that whole Power BI query to my clipboard. And when this comes up, I'm going to right mouse click right here and paste. And the query will completely copy over. And even though I just brought in clothing, it also brought in division color because I've done a merge. I've merged this color into my clothing and all the data is there and everything is there. So now I don't need division to do anything with anyone or to come over as my data set. So I am going to, oh, I guess I have to just do that one as, or cancel that one. But here, I think that's just so stinking cool that we can copy our queries for the most part. There's a couple that one does that another doesn't do, and you could copy them back and forth with anyone. So thank you for saying wow, Mark. I always strive for a wow, so I appreciate that. But now I'm going to stop sharing, and now I'm going to say thank you and bid my adieu.
Okay, my friends, thank you so much. Thank you for coming for this meetup, Belinda. Thank you so much for coming, presenting this lovely presentation about this tips and tricks on Power BI and on Excel and Power BI. This was really cool. Some of the guys' favorite takeaway is the advanced editor copying that stuff into the query editor. That was really awesome. And I'm getting some comments on YouTube as well. So, and I would appreciate that people who have joined, please feel free to put up your comments because that help us as content creator to make sure that we deliver you what you needed. So it's very important for us for your feedback. Make sure that you comment on Linda post so that we can get your feedbacks and we'd love to hear from you. So I'll be seeing you in the next meetup for Microsoft Excel Saudi Arabia. So signing out from YouTube and still stay back on the Zoom. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.